Welcome to Education 435's Digital Literacy Group's presentation of a learning task for English 30-1 students. In this assignment, students will be asked to create a fake social media account for a fictional character of their choosing. They can choose from any source, including books, movies, video games, or television. Their character can be chosen for any reason, whether it's because they admire that character, hate that character, or even if they just think that character would be fun to create a page for. They will be asked to create a profile with a minimum of 3 posts that include a picture and a caption. The posts do not have to be about specific topics. Rather, they must reflect what the student believes the character would post if they were to use the social media account. The constructivist approach allows for authentic literary interactions by helping the students to critically analyze a character through a unique lens that connects to their personal lives. This is done as students are able to make unconventional connections between the literary source and their real-world understanding, as they use their digital citizenship to navigate how a fictional character would use and understand social media. This portion also allows students to better understand their chosen character through the creation of a social media account by understanding how individuals and matter coexist and make meaning together. Thus, by integrating technology, we work to encompass a wide range of interpretations and to show students multiple means of expressing their interpretations and their ideas. In this portion, students are encouraged to critically analyze the character within their chosen literary source and post based on how they feel the character would like to be perceived. Part 2, the character journal. In addition to the social media account, an in-character journal will accompany at least 2 to 3 of the posts in any format that the student chooses. This journal allows for the students to showcase what their character is truly thinking or behaving like during the post. Examples of this second account highlighting the pictures and thoughts behind the scenes of the initial post. A journal highlighting how the character truly felt when they posted, or using blog posts to express the character's internal conflicts. The definition of literacy is changing to include digital mediums. The behind-the-scenes portion reflects how students can share how they interpret and analyze news sources of literature. This portion emphasizes how social media can be seen as a new source of literature and can be interpreted based on socially and culturally constructed ideas. In this portion, students are encouraged to critically analyze the character within their chosen literary source. Phase 3, the reflection piece. The final portion is the reflection piece. This piece is meant to encourage deeper thinking and connecting what students have learned with their personal lives and their own usage of social media. The method of reflection is up to the student. They may write, draw, or create a digital art piece or use another digital medium to indicate their reflection of how this assignment has impacted them and how it can pertain to their own personal lives. Students can choose to present their reflection piece verbally to the class or to the teacher, or hand in a piece of work or a piece of writing that explains their art piece. The reflection piece helps to teach students to use and engage in new participatory culture. They are given the opportunity to critically analyze their digital content, to develop the techniques required to access and engage with social media platforms, and are also encouraged to examine their digital citizenship. They are asked to reflect on how this specific type of citizenship and culture interacts with how they perceive others and how they represent themselves. In this portion, students are encouraged to critically reflect on their representation of the fictional character's social media and indicates how they feel, use, or understand social media in their own personal lives. In this example, the student has created a digital art piece that on one side makes explicit the qualities Spider-Man likes to advertise on social media versus the sides that he keeps private in his real life. An example like this would encourage the student to reflect on what qualities they portray on social media versus what they decide to keep private for themselves. The four resources framework model, as proposed by Freebody and Luke, allows us to understand how this assignment will guide students to effectively engage with literature, break codes of text, participate in meaning of the text, use text functionally, and critically analyze and transform texts to suit the new demands and needs of the digital era. Text decoder. Within the creation of the social media account, students will use their digital literacies to decipher meaning of visual and written language in the context of social media platforms. Not only will students be decoding the original literature source to understand their chosen character, but they will also be decoding how to transfer those literacy skills into a social and digital setting. This effectively helps students to understand how different sentence structures, formality in speech, and symbolism is appropriate for different contexts. Text participant. While creating the social media account, students will use the analysis of their original literature source in order to support the construction of their social media account for the character. This is crucial as students must be able to explain the literal and inferential meaning behind their created scenarios and how it fits into both their chosen character and social media user. Text user. Creating the journal or behind the scenes portion will help build an understanding of how the original construction of their literary source impacts the character. They will then use that knowledge to create a holistic view of the character's personality and persona. It will help the students dive into the literature and question how the values and morals are hidden within the original literary source. They may then use this to build a better understanding of how the character would present themselves versus how the character would be naturally. Text analysis. In their reflection piece, students will use their knowledge and perspectives on how the characters present themselves and are presented by others in different contexts to better understand how diverging influences and perspectives can affect characters' presentation and the character's interpretation. Students will use this knowledge to better understand how they can relate and reflect on real-world circumstances. Overall, this entire assignment will lead to a better understanding of how presentation can lead to interpretations or misinterpretations of a person, and how to delve deeper into known characteristics and contexts to gain a more holistic understanding. Other learning objectives will be to understand social media as a powerful tool which can either bring you to your ideal self or be used to create self-illusion. To show them that false self can be created since social media can cause an individual to disconnect between the identity of who they actually are versus who they want to be seen as. To have them recognize, to be conscious of the reasons that they want to post, and use this learning task as a way to depict whether they are misaligning with their authentic selves. Students will be encouraged to ask questions like, am I posting this for myself or for others? Why is it that I want to share this? Is there an underlying motive behind this post? to show students expressing one's identity without the pursuit of doing it for others can be fulfilling. It is to show that when students are able to project themselves online, it can empower them to be how they desire to be in all aspects of their lives. It's about informing students to bring light to their authentic identities and place others' opinions in the shadows. For students to realize the advantage of having participatory culture within the classroom, students can collaborate on ideas, give feedback to one another, and use their fake social media accounts of their literary characters to interact with each other. This learning task is crafted to fit the curriculum for English 30-1 students in Alberta. The curricular requirements that it specifically relates to are, number 1, they're required to analyze in terms of consistency of behavior, motivation, and plausibility in terms of contribution to a theme. 2, they need to respond personally and critically to the ways in which cultural and societal influences are reflected. Number 3, assess the use of musical devices, figures of speech, and sensory details to create effects in a variety of print and non-print texts. Number 4, develop appropriate, relevant, and sufficient content to support controlling ideas or unifying effects. Number 5, form generalizations and synthesize new ideas by integrating new information with prior knowledge. The aspects of the assignments that address those points. Curricular point number 1, students need to thoroughly analyze the character and can create a profile and a journal and artifact reflecting their personality. Curricular point number 2, represented through the students' perceptions on how they believe the character represents themselves to others and what they believe the character's true identity is. Curricular point number 3, the student is required not just to analyze the character through their words, but also the way the author has portrayed them, since strategies to understand character can be depicted through tone of voice, clothing, and gestures. Number 4, students are intended to take information that they have compiled and present it through both a social media account and a personal journal, which supports the reasons for the initial character post. Curricular point number 5, as students analyze their character, it's essential they build on information throughout the task, which will support and strengthen their understandings of the character. Assessment. There's 3 ways to assess this that can all be used synchronistically. Assessment for learning. Teachers can ask students frequently as they create their profiles, their journals, and reflections, questions that guide them towards making meaningful analyses and progressing their work in a meaningful way. Assessment as learning. Teachers have students reflect on their assignments to result in a long-term impact on student learning, which can help students connect their work to their real lives. Assessment of learning. Finally, students determine whether they have accomplished the learning objectives, and teachers then also assess whether students have accomplished the learning objectives through their work and whether students were able to form a meaningful opinion about social media and social media's impact on the students' lives and communities. Thank you for considering including the language of participatory culture in your classroom by including assignments like this one that develop digital literacy.